Hello, welcome to our Houston Zoo Facebook Live. My name is Tori, and today we're going to be talking about our Jaguars. We are going to have a really awesome activity that the Jaguars are going to do for enrichment today, which is something that we do every single day here at the Houston Zoo with all of our cats. You might see us with a few things. Obviously I have a mask on, but then once Alicia comes out here, you will probably see her with her mask and also some latex gloves. This is really important to keep these guys safe. We want to make sure that they are healthy while we do all these things for them, as well as do work in their exhibits and in their space. So I'm going to give Alicia a call, tell her to head on out so we could get this started. Carnivores, you can head on to the exhibit. So we have a really special event that we do every once in a while here at the Houston Zoo. It's actually a jump. So we have this 6-pound meat diet that we get once a month for all of our big cats. It has a bone through it, so it's a really awesome gorging opportunity for these guys that normally that they have in the wild is how that they would feed. So this big hunk of meat is on a wire, and we're actually going to string it up high so that Maya can jump to it. So this is, again, a very important enrichment opportunity for our cats. By doing this, feeding them this way, we're doing a few different things of behavioral enrichment. The first is going to be the most obvious, like I said, gorging. It's how they would normally eat in the wild. They would take down a very large prey item, such as a capybara or a caiman or even a tapir, and then they would sit there and feed on it and eat as much as they possibly can. And then after they do that, they wouldn't eat for several days after that. So besides that gorging, we also have what will happen is the jumping behavior. It's a very important exercise for these guys. These guys are excellent hunters and very good at stealth. They can actually jump about 10 to 12 feet in the air. So it's really important for us to make sure that they are doing that here at the zoo, making sure we're allowing them to do those natural behaviors in the wild. Just so you guys know, after we do the Jaguar Jump, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions so that we can make sure that we answer anything that you guys might have. So if you hold your questions till after the jump, we'll get to those, I promise. So the last thing with this Jaguar Jump that we do that hits is another very important thing for all carnivores, and that is failure. I know a lot of times when we have our pets at home, especially us keepers, we don't like to see our animals fail. We want them to be as successful as possible. But in the wild, big cats and jaguars, they actually fail about 20% of their hunts, or 80% of their hunts. So they're only successful for 20% of the time. So it's really important that they have that natural failing behavior. It makes them think a little bit more, makes them work a little bit more, and also decide whether or not whatever their activity they're doing is going to be worth it. All right. So we just had that lifted up a little bit more so that Maya can jump to her full extent. And that looks like it's going to be good for her. Hopefully we'll be able to see her grab that. If not, again, like I said, keepers don't like to see their animals fail. So what we'll end up doing, if she doesn't get that after quite a few attempts, we can lower it for her so make it a little bit easier. All right, and I'll let them know that we are ready for Maya to come on out and try her jump. Tori and carnivores to Alicia. Carnivores, you can send Maya. All right, so here she comes. Maya is our female jaguar. She is about she's 10 years old. She's actually pretty small for a jaguar. Typically these guys will get anywhere from about 150 to 300 pounds. But Maya here, she's only about 110 pounds. So as you can see, she's looking around. She's trying to figure out where exactly we put that bone and meat. But don't worry, this is pretty natural. A lot of times they have to really look for it, sniff it out, make sure that they're checking out every part of their environment. And there she goes, she sees it. So now she's gonna try and sit there and figure out exactly what's going on, how she's gonna get it. So jaguars are extremely intelligent. So she's gonna analyze and try and figure out exactly how she can get that in the least amount of work possible. You might see her do that little stutter step every once in a while. She really wants to take a look at it from all angles to get the easiest and best possible route to that meat. Maya is one of our best jumpers here at the Houston Zoo. Our other Jaguar, Tesoro, he is a lot larger than Maya. He weighs about 180 pounds, but he actually only jumps about 8 feet. When we first start doing this with our Jaguars, we actually start them a lot lower. We want to make sure that they are working up to it. So they have to build the muscle to be able to attain that height. So we start where it's just above their head and then slowly inch it up until they are reaching their max potential. So Tesoro still has a little ways to go to reach the height that Maya does, and he could probably even surpass the height that she jumps. But at the moment, she is the best jumper here. So like I was saying, Jaguars are built for power. This is a very good example of what they would do in the wild. So they are going to be that stealth hunter that sneaks up on their prey and then just kind of goes in and attacks very powerfully. So they have that power in both their legs as well as their jaws. Jaguars have the strongest bite force per body size of any cat. It's about 200 pounds per square inch. And we'll let her jump a couple more times at this height, and then we might end up having to lower it a little bit, give her a little bit better chance to get it. But again, that failure is really important and very good for her to try and reach that max height potential. Like I was saying, these guys are extremely powerful. Their jaws can actually crush skulls as well as turtle shells. So they use that in going after any of their food that they might find. They will actually go after a multitude of different species. That includes over 85 species found in their home range. So we'll see if she could get a paw on this one. Now she's gonna sit and look a little bit. So jaguars are also one of the largest cat, or the largest cat that is found in the Americas. Their natural range is the Central and South America, but they did used to be found here in the United States, in the southwestern part of the states. Currently, their population is considered near threatened, but it is trending towards vulnerable. So it's really important that we are working to protect these guys and keep them at a healthy population. So I'm going to give Courtney a call and see if she can drop that down a little bit and give Maya an opportunity to have a better jump and see if we can get a really good jump out of her at a little bit lower height. Tori to Courtney Carnivores. Would you mind dropping Maya's meat to the next lowest setting? All right, and so whenever we do these jumps, we are always gonna be very careful, and it takes quite a few people to actually do them. So we have a keeper that's all the way at the top on the roof, which you actually can't see, and she is working our wire system to be able to lower it down for Maya. We also have a two-keeper policy with all of our big cats. So whenever we are working with these guys, going into their habitat or anything, we always make sure we have two keepers to check locks and check locations of animals to make sure that we keep these guys safe. So like you can see, Maya, she's kind of assessing the situation a little bit, making sure that she seeing what would be the best approach to getting this bone and meat. And now that it's that little bit lower, we should have a really good jump from her once she catches her breath. Like I said, these guys as predators, they want to conserve as much energy as possible, so when they do actually work for stuff, it can take them a little bit, take a lot of energy out of them. But as you can see, these guys are great jumpers, and she can actually navigate all of this space that is on exhibit. And right now where she's at, that's actually her favorite spot to hang out with on exhibit. So if you ever come to the zoo and you can't find a jaguar, I always suggest looking right up to that spot, because she really loves to take her naps there. In the morning she gets nice sun, and in the afternoon it's nice and shady for her when it's the hottest part of the day. So it's always a really good place to look if you are looking for these guys. But these guys will probably only be on this exhibit for a few months longer. We are really lucky and fortunate to be able to continue our work on our Pantanal exhibit. So hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to move these guys over, both Maya and Tesoro, to our brand new Pantanal exhibit, where they'll have a very similar habitat of what they would naturally be in the wild. So we're really excited to make that move. And with that comes a lot of preparation. So even though these guys just have to kind of move over there, we want to make sure that it's as positive as possible when we move them to that new location. So we actually do a lot of voluntary training with our big cats, and especially with our jaguars right now, we are working on voluntary crate training, kind of like what you would do with your dog. You want them to be really happy in that crate. So we do a lot of positive reinforcement, where we ask them to go in, and they get lots of treats for going in, and eventually we work on getting them used to being inside the crate while it's closed, so that they can choose to participate in that move. So it's a really awesome way that we're able to work with these guys. And some other things that we do with our training is we do a lot of voluntary medical training procedures. So Maya and Tesoro, they have are both trained to voluntarily accept injections, as well as do some different body presents, so we can make sure these guys are healthy. All right, let's see if she can get this one. There we go. Just a little bit. Wow, and you guys can really see just how powerful she is when she goes after that, and able to grab on not only with those teeth, but also those claws. So she is gonna now go to a spot that she finds a little bit more secluded. Very typical for jaguars is what they will do is to take their prey and then go off to a nice secluded spot to actually eat it. And that's really important because they're gonna be very tired from taking down whatever it is. So they wanna make sure that they are safe from other predators or other animals that they are around in the wild. So Paulina asked, are they related to leopards? And distantly, yes, jaguars are related to leopards, but leopards are only found over in Africa and Asia, while jaguars are found in Central and South America. So you will never find a jaguar where a leopard is. So it's a very, very good question. These guys also have very similar spots to leopards. So if you get a good look at Maya, you'll notice that she has those round spots. We call them rosettes. And they actually have little smaller spots inside them. I like to think of it as a chocolate chip cookie versus a leopard who just has the rosette. So they kind of have more of a sugar cookie type of spot. So it's a really easy way to be able to tell the difference between them. Jaguars are going to be a little bit larger than leopards though. Henry asks, how long do they live in the wild versus zoos? So in the wild, jaguars will typically live anywhere from about 10 to 12 years. There's a lot of different factors that go into that. Food availability, habitat availability, and ability to stay safe. The other thing is going to be in zoos, they actually can get into their late teens and early 20s. So they don't have to worry about their food or other predators that are going to come up against them. And we have awesome vets on staff to take care of any of the most minor injuries that they might get. Donna asked, do they mate for life? And that is no, they don't. Sometimes in zoos we will have individuals that do really take to each other and like to enjoy each other's companies. But typically in the wild, these guys are going to come together for breeding and then disappear from each other's lives. They may potentially cross paths in the future, but it all is dependent on where their normal habitat is in relation to one another. So we'll see. It looks like she might have taken it over into a little secluded area. See if she might settle down and start eating it. Go over to this area near our pool. So Maya will eat that entire thing today. So she will finish that whole thing off. And Luca asks, what is their least favorite food? Jaguars don't really have a least favorite food. They will eat anything and everything that they come across. So they are obligate carnivores, so they do have to eat meat. But one of their favorites in the wild that they tend to go after the most is going to be caiman. All right, Lauren asks, can males jump higher? It's really kind of an individual basis. So with our male, he actually doesn't jump higher than Maya. Tesoro, he only jumps about 8 feet versus Maya can jump about 10. And that just kind of goes based on what their ability to, their strength ability and practice. So in the wild, if they're a little bit bigger, they have a better chance of being able to jump higher. If they're smaller, it's going to be a little bit lower. So it's really going off of their size. Gabby asks, how long will it take her to eat it? It could take her anywhere from about 30-45 minutes to a couple hours. It kind of depends on how hungry she is. Right now she's at the almost top of her weight range, so it might take her a little bit longer right now. If she was to be a little bit lower in weight, it probably would be a little bit faster of her to consume that whole thing. It also has a bone in it, so she'll gnaw on that bone throughout the day. She might leave it a little for a while, but she'll definitely come back and gnaw on it. Bones are really important for the general health of jaguars and our cats because it actually acts a little bit like nature's toothbrush. So just by chewing on that bone, she's actually getting some dental health as well. Yami asks, do they like to swim? And normally jaguars do really enjoy swimming. So they are one of the 2 big cat species that really love to swim. The other one is going to be tigers. Maya and Tesoro, on the other hand, they're not a huge fan of water. And that, again, goes to individual basis. So not necessarily every jaguar likes to swim. In the wild, these guys are typically found a lot on the riverbanks. So they tend to have to swim to go after their prey. Our 2 jaguars, they don't really have to go into the water to be able to get their food, so they tend to avoid it a little bit more. Sometimes you have animals that really enjoy the water and like to go into it, but it really kind of depends on their personality. So now you're seeing Maya all the way up top. She really does enjoy hanging out very high up. It's a nice place for her to feel safe and secure. Elsa asks, are there stomachs like a tiger where bones are dissolved? They won't fully dissolve. If they're small enough pieces, they might. But the bones that do pass through their stomach and their intestines, they actually help to clear out the bad bacteria. So that is one of the reasons why they would swallow some bones. It helps to clear out their digestive tract, make sure that their gut is very healthy. And Brandy asks, do they eat fish? These guys actually love fish. So every once in a while we will get fish delivered for the carnivore department. Maya and Tesoro absolutely love it. And occasionally our sea lion department, they have a little bit of extra fish. So we'll go over and grab some of that. And they get some different ones than just the capelin that we normally receive. Julie asks, how long can they run for? These guys typically aren't runners, so instead, like I said, they're stealth hunters. They really rely on their ability to camouflage into the riverbanks and be able to sneak up on their prey and then kind of jump on it from below or from above on top of that riverbank. So these guys really, they can run, but it's not something that they will do typically in order to go after prey. Victoria asks, where are their babies? So about 3 years ago, Maya and Tesoro did have 2 cubs, Fitz and Emma. And those 2 guys are now fully grown, considered adults. They both have now been recommended to be moved to different facilities and have now moved on to their new homes. This is very typical. The Houston Zoo participates in what is called a species survival plan for jaguars. It's very important that we work with other zoos around the country to make sure that the populations of jaguars that we have here in zoos in the United States stays healthy. That way we never have to take animals out of the wild. Not only that, it's really important to have these healthy genetics because, like I was saying, the population of jaguars in the wild is starting to trend downward from a few different things. And so it is very important to have those genetics so that if we need to, we can inject those new genetics into the wild population to prevent the bottlenecking that can occur. So Josie asks, where do they use the bathroom? And they tend to have a latrine spot on exhibit. And that happens just once a day. We'll go out, clean it up, and then they keep it pretty clean out here on exhibit, which is really nice. And then we had another question about how old Maya is. She is 10 years old, so she is in the ripe of her life. She's living it up, considered a very healthy jaguar at the moment. She has not really anything wrong with her, which is really awesome. So we hope to have many more years with Maya here at the Houston Zoo. And Camila asks, can they adjust to any kind of weather? Yeah, so these guys are typically, the habitat they're found in can be anywhere from savanna, grasslands, tropical forest, to those riverways. So these guys have to be able to acclimate to all those different types of storms that could potentially happen. So with them, they are used to all the rain, the humidity that we have here in Houston, even the occasional hurricane that happens. Maya and Tesoro were here for Harvey, and they did great while bedding down here at the zoo with some keepers to keep track of them, make sure they're nice and healthy. So Solma asks, how can we save jaguars? Well, one of the best ways here in Houston to save jaguars is to actually support the zoo. So we do a lot of different things that help to protect and learn more about jaguars in the wild. One of the big things is that we actually partner with the Giant Armadillo Project, and even though it doesn't say jaguar, giant armadillos are really good indicator species for jaguars. They are able to track them as well as other animals in the Pantanal and make sure that they stay healthy and report back on them to be able to learn more about their populations in the wild. The other thing is to support the zoo. So by supporting the zoo through the Emergency Zoo Fund, we are able to support those different initiatives and make sure that jaguars can stay safe in the wild. So you can support the Emergency Zoo Fund at the Houston Zoo through houstonzoo.org. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. for more animal fun here at the Houston Zoo Facebook page. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.